This is the No Prisoners podcast. We're Bucks County's, we're the number one investigative journalists in all of Bucks County, possibly the world.
Yes, sir.
Undisputed with zero challengers. We have an event coming up at the end of the month, March 27th, happy hour, 86 West, the home or the stadium of the No Prisoners podcast, where we currently are. Our guest has just eaten the food. We'll get a full review in a matter of minutes. That's what we should do that now. Just force feed the guests every week and be like, "What do you think of the wings?" But they're delicious. Private events, anything coming up, baby showers, things like that. We got that all going on upstairs here. And we can't say enough great things about 86 West. They take great care of us, and we love recording here every week. In addition to that, we also have two other events to plug, as well as the sponsor for this month's happy hour, the Tile Studio in Doylestown. They were kindly ready to pick up the tab. Hopefully we have a pretty good event this month, and everybody makes it out. And hopefully the weather's better this month.
I hope so, yeah.
Last time my shoes got wet.
Yeah, didn't like that.
In addition to that, we also have a charity event on 4/20 of all days, Bob Marley's birthday.
Shout out.
I don't know what the park is called, but Alpha Bravo K9 is hosting a charity walk for fundraising for their service dog program, training, purchasing, vitamins, vaccines, whatever they do with puppies, and then donating those dogs to veterans in need with medical disabilities or PTSD or a variety of other situations that the dogs aid with. Seen it firsthand. It's awesome. We love to contribute to them financially, and you can too with this awesome walk. And then we also have White Belt Wars.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a battle of the white belts at Fight for Tomorrow. If you're in the jiu-jitsu community and you think you've got it as a white belt, come out. I think there's only a few spots left because I think Evan only has like 42 spots in total. So you better sign up quick.
Sign up. We'll be there.
And I'm pretty sure I tried to find my note for everything. And if I didn't, if we're supposed to mention you and we didn't, sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
We'll get you.
Yeah, we'll get
we'll get you.
We'll get to it.
But tonight's guest, we already started getting into like random toy conversation here, so we were like better. I was like looking at Gilmar like, I'm gonna hit the button.
Yeah,
let's
are
go.
we recording?
Let's go. Train's leaving the station. But we have our friend Dave, new friend, Bontempo. Which is good times in Italian.
Yep.
Because what is it in Spanish, Gilmar?
Buen tiempo.
Exactly. It sounds so nice.
Yeah.
That sounds way cooler.
Anytime he says it,
I never heard that like that.
For a little while.
Spanish.
Yeah, he speaks Spanish. The funny thing is, for like a little while, I was like, what if he didn't speak Spanish and he just had me convinced this whole time? Because
you don't know.
I know less than him, and it's like, he sounds official.
Dude, I saw my friend do that in New York one time. We were in Times Square taking photos, and these girls approached him, and then he said, "Can I take a photo of you?" And then they had an accent when they said it, and he started talking to them in French. They're like, "Oh, do you know French?" He's like, "Yeah." And then he got their number, and they walked away. I was like, "You know French?" He's like, "I only know enough to do that." And I was like, "Damn, that's what's up." That's a good one.
That's like if you've ever
Out him right now. Who is it?
His name is Xavier. Lives in LA. He takes photos of models now. He's living a good life.
Okay.
He's all right.
Yeah.
I like when like the newscaster comes out that like the lady doing sign language on the side like didn't know how to do it.
Oh, yeah.
There was like 5 of those, and they're like doing this like crazy speech. And it's like, oh, that chick on the side that's like doing all this stuff. Like they found out like the deaf community was like none of that was a word. And it's like, what goes through your head?
Just throwing up
yeah,
gang signs. She's like the plane crash landed, and she's like, it's like a flutter of the wings too, like a big just like knife across the throat, crash landed.
It's like, what happened in your life, dude? Like, I'm gonna fake sign language on a TV show right now.
That's
like,
incredible.
Yeah,
Dude, my favorite things to watch videos on. Well, not my favorite things. Top things is Stolen Valor. Do you ever watch those videos?
I love that.
I watched one like a couple minutes before we started the show. It was like some guy at a gas station, and he was just like, he was all messed up, had like Nikes on with his uniform. And they were like, dude, this is Stolen Valor. And the guy pulled out like another uniform. He's like, if this doesn't prove it. And there was like the rank on the other uniform. He was like wearing camis, but he was pulling out his dress uniform, and he was like a lieutenant or a captain in his like in like the professional one, he was like a corporal in his game. So he had like a different rank on both uniforms.
What the hell?
I was like, dude, you got it, dude.
And they're always like a special agent when it gets down to like people really like questioning. It's like, no, like this was like a total, like nobody knows about this. So it's like, that's why there's like 8 patches for like Iraq and stuff here. That, like it's secret.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
okay.
Be like, what's this ribbon for? It's like, dude, when we fought over the moon.
Yep.
It's like, what the
we
fuck?
fought over the moon.
You don't know about it.
No one does.
I could kill you just for telling you.
Yeah.
And pulls out paperwork that says like, yep, kill him.
Kill him.
It's like,
Yeah. Fucking stabs you.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
You gotta look out for that.
Yeah, you do. You never know.
Yeah, my other thing that I saw recently about faking, there was like a guy, and the comment section was wild. And like I always like the comment section, but this guy was like faking being blind and going up to people and like seeing what their reaction would be if he was like to grab their arm and like ask for help down the stairs, and all these people were like shoving him over and shit. And people were like, "This is terrible. That last lady was a racist." Like all this shit, and I'm like, you know what though? Like this guy is faking being blind, filming it, people's reactions. Like they're reacting the right way you're supposed to do to that person.
Yeah.
Because he obviously can see, and he's taking the time to film this whole interaction, which is creepy as hell. He should get punched in the face.
Yeah. People are interested.
He's honestly, the community he's hurting is the blind people community.
They are.
So who he's trying to like highlight, he's actually hurting.
You can't see what he's doing.
Terrorist, dude.
Exactly. They're not being highlighted.
Can't see what he's doing.
They don't feel seen.
Yeah, if it's stolen valor for military stuff, like what would it be for like blind? Like stolen what?
Stolen sight.
Yeah.
You sight stealer, dude.
Sight stealer, dude.
Sight stealer.
Man, you know that bus is yellow.
Do you remember when Perry said he couldn't smell?
Yeah.
Have you been following those comments on that video?
No, but I saw you post something.
Oh, the comments are getting wild.
Oh,
somebody called, like this one person was like, this guy's a liar. And then somebody was like, you can't smell. And then somebody was like, if it's possible to be born blind, you can be born without smell. And then they tore that person apart. I was like, I got to regulate this.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but
People online are nuts, dude.
yeah, but this guy is a real toy collector, though.
Yeah,
You're not
man.
faking that after that picture.
Not faking that.
But that's a panoramic shot you sent?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, when did you start this whole... This isn't why we had him on the show, by the way.
Showed it
but
to us.
he showed us the picture, and now we're going down this rabbit hole, so join us while we investigate.
Just one of the weird things in the tool belt. Yeah, like I loved like action figures and stuff when I was a little kid, and I was always like way hyped on stuff and like compiling a bunch of stuff into this story. But so I got sober like 12 and a half years ago, and just like lots of like therapy and all that kinds of stuff. But like they trace back like, when did you first think you were an addict? And like the first time I remember was like the old, like your grandma would get you a G.I. Joe. I was never happy with the figure. I always flipped that shit over and was like, I want this and this and this and this. So they like psychologically were like all the way back then.
You were getting the toy. So like those toys back in the day, they would come out with posters.
Yeah.
And then you would circle and be like, this is what I'm getting for my next birthday. But by the time you got to that next birthday, you like forgot about that like series of action figures anyway.
Dang.
So it's G.I. Joe's fault that I became a heroin addict.
That's clipped, dude.
Yeah,
Clip it.
that's going in.
That title will get unreasonable. after this. I wish he said, honestly, the only way that video would get more views is if he said Barbie was the reason.
Barbie.
People would be like, oh man, this guy's hurt. What'd she do to you?
But so I was always like that, and then it just kind of went obviously away as you grow up. And like I think I was like probably like 6-7 years sober at the time. My mom was like, dude, we're cleaning out the basement, like we have all this stuff, and you know, whatever, come get it or I'm throwing it out. And I like saw like my Ghostbusters stuff, and I was like, dude, you're not throwing that stuff out, like I gotta go grab it. And like had a little like toy shelf that I was like some of the shit from when I was a kid. And then like I was saying, like in one of the boxes was the little like Kenner, all the toys coming out, and I was like, oh, like Santa never bought me the fucking Ecto 1 or this or that. So bought one thing on eBay, loose, and like I let my kids play with the loose stuff, and then I bought like one thing in a package and was like boom, 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 and just now I have $100,000 toy collection.
Damn.
Yeah. In like
Damn.
2 years. And the best was like during COVID, like when everyone thought like the world was ending, I was like dialed in to getting every single piece of Ghostbusters memorabilia in the package.
Yeah, so when the world was losing their mind, you kept your cool.
So I had stuff coming from like countries all over, and like my wife is like fucking like Windexing the stuff and like won't let the boxes in the house. And like I'm like, dude, I need that figure. Like, sorry, like I don't care that it came from Paraguay and like 80 million people touched it, and so
it's got to sit in the sun for 72 hours.
Yeah.
That's what the news is saying.
Got to put a blue light on it.
Yeah.
People were just like Lysol and everything.
Yeah. Groceries too, even. You know, people were doing with the packages and stuff.
Yeah, just getting their fruit. Just
Yeah, what are we doing?
What are we doing? What did we do? So, I don't know, man. We got out of there.
Yeah.
We put our mouth guards in and we just fought our way through.
Yeah, we're better for it.
Dude, I honestly thought about that the other day. I was like, I think as terrible as the Corona years were, I think that it was really good for everybody.
For sure.
It showed everybody you couldn't hide who you were through those years. So it made us all, we understand everyone now. Or maybe you don't, but at least you understand that you don't understand.
I learned a lot about myself.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. You're telling me.
So are you still actively collecting?
Yeah, it was actually in Warminster 2 weekends ago. There's a place called The Fuge on Jacksonville Road, and they have like events.
The Fuge?
Yeah, it's super cool. You'd like it. It's actually... Not many people, even in Bucks County, know this, but it was an old NASA training station. Okay. And it's a big round room, and there was a centrifuge. I can show you pictures where they would literally, like Buzz Aldrin and like the real astronauts trained in it, and it would whip you around to try and get you to like compete with like leaving the centrifugal force of Earth and all. And it's in Warminster, right across from Costco, and like and dude, like my first recruiting firm, I had a couple partners. And I knew about the building and really liked it because I went to toy shows there. So I called the owner and we rented one of the offices. And like we were exploring at one point. And there's like, I think we counted, there were 17 metal file cabinets with like classified documents that they just rolled out one day. And like the Navy and NASA just left and all this stuff is still in there. And it's like, it's super fascinating. But so they do like this huge toy convention. People come kind of from all over. I think there's like 300 or 400 vendor tables. It was 2 weekends ago. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah, so like I don't even know where I even begin with this. What do you do with these toys? Like, would you just like keep them in the box? Like, is it like a investment thing, or is it just like you can hold it in your hand? Like what, like, I guess like when you're smoking weed or drinking or doing drugs, never done heroin, so can't attest to that. But there's like
great in the beginning.
The dopamine. There's that like dopamine dump that you get that you're always chasing for like whatever you're doing. Like what part of like is it getting the toy in the mail? Like what part of it is it? Is it the chase?
I feel like my wife texted you like, can you fucking figure this out? The chase was cool because it was like trying to find stuff that you didn't find, and then it was like you realize what's like. I remember going over to my buddy's house and like he had that He-Man sword or whatever. So a lot of it would be like pinpointed memories that I was like, oh, I want that thing, and like just like having it, and then. As you get into anything and you start realizing, like with watch collecting or cars, like that one's super rare. Oh, I never saw that. And like, that's when it can get into like, I have some action figures that are worth thousands of dollars that like there was a last production of this one or there was this variant. And
so it's closing the loop. So like, say you get the Ghostbusters set and like, it's really easy to get the car.
Yeah.
And then it's really easy to get like one like Venkman or something.
Yeah.
But like getting like the little green guy that goes in, so like it's kind of like completing the whole set.
So I have the whole set of the Kenner toys from like when we were kids, like 80s and early 90s. But then like it goes into like, oh my God, this is so deep. But like you can like there was a knockoff version called the Spook Chasers. I got called super racist for that, and it's not because there's Winston's there. And yeah, so that was like this bootleg in Sweden that was like a fake. So I got into collecting knockoff ones. So there's like the Hero Turtle karate fighters, and there's like all this cool shit. Yeah. But that was like super hard to find. And so I found a guy that like sold, it was a guy who had 2 sets, and he sold one to a vintage toy shop in Merchantville, New Jersey. And it was called Plays With His Toys. The guy's awesome. And I messaged him. I was like, do you have this? And he was like, yeah. And like, I've never even seen like one of them. And he had the whole set, proton packs, everything. And I went and took my whole family. My wife let me pull the trigger on it. And it was, that was not a cheap one.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, but you could be into like $100,000 seems like a lot of money. But like if he was into like Porsches or something like that, you'd be like, his wife might be a little bit more upset about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Coming home with a $500,000 car.
I say it's an investment, but like I'm just still a junkie at heart and collect the shit and like we'll give it to like my son appreciates it. I mean, the coolest thing is like my kids like it, and like we went to that toy show and we did the same thing last year, and they tattoo in the basement, and so I had my kids last year write their names on my leg, and I got it tattooed while they were sitting there, and then this year I had them draw pictures on my leg and got that done. So it's just like a cool kind of bonding thing. And you know, I think like from a psychological standpoint, like back when you're 5 to 10, you're not fucking worried. You know, you're not worried about your bills and your mortgage and your this and your that. And so like from the therapist standpoint, they're like, dude, like you're trying to live back in that time where it was like the biggest problem. I mean, back then the biggest problem was if you missed the show at 3:30, there was no DVR or no nothing. Like you had to wait till the next day. So that's kind of where I think it comes from.
Yeah, we grew up in a much different time. I'm sure every generation says like they are happy they grew up. Maybe they do or don't. I don't know. But I'm happy that I grew up on the edge of like this technology rush. Because I love computers and all the stuff that we do with technology, but I kind of see what it's doing to kids nowadays, and I'm like, that's kind of different.
Yeah, I mean, like my kid's sitting over there now, like glued to the thing, and it's scary for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if it hasn't run its course, so we don't know.
I mean, to me, there was a beauty in like hoping that Napster file downloaded the song you wanted, or that like
LimeWire.
yeah,
bringing
like,
down the family's computer
because
you downloaded some.
You don't have to wait for anything anymore, and there's no like when I remember my buddy and I used to in high school go to Best Buy on Tuesdays because records came out on Tuesdays, and like I wanted that album, and now like all that stuff's gone, and like so I try to get him like CDs and vinyls and stuff because it's like, you know, there's just no patience. I mean now like. I remember like Louis C.K. does this bit where he's like, people get mad at their phones like that the signal's not right, and he's like, the fucking thing is shooting a signal to Mars and back, and it's giving you anything you want, your bank account, this. But it's like there was definitely a beauty in that of like, oh, like this show comes on at 8:30 and like we're gonna watch it together or something like that, and like that shit's just gone. And everybody's compartmentalized, everybody's like sitting by themselves, everybody like we go out to dinner, my kids even like everyone's on their phone, like we try to put it down, but everybody's just in that tunnel vision. It's like, dude, there's no connection and nothing. So I love the 80s and 90s. I think that's why I'm like, you know, relatively stuck there.
No, that hat's nice.
Yeah.
Do you get into like I have a buddy, shout out J Money. He sells like vintage. He'll go to like thrift stores and chase down like T-shirts.
I did that for a while, and it just
he makes
you can't if you know what you're doing, you can make a lot with that and jeans and stuff like that. I liked and that's another problem with the internet now and reproductions, and like you think like you're getting this like Who shirt from like an actual 1978 concert, and it's like you buy it on eBay or some other thing, and it's like, oh, this was just a reprint on like some gilded hunk of shit shirt. Like, so I used to go to like Salvation Armies and like band T-shirts and stuff like that. Still somewhat, but it's like even that, it's hard to find. There's just so much fake shit with everything that it's like you don't know, you know, what you're getting at all.
The new fake thing. I mean, we already went through like fake things in the beginning of the episode, but one thing I've been seeing on top of that is, oh, you don't have a professional picture? No problem. Upload your shitty picture to AI, and you'll have a picture ready for your LinkedIn. And these pictures people are rolling out, like I don't know if you've ever been catfished on like Tinder or something like that. It's like business catfishing.
I love catfish, by the way. I watch like 3 episodes a day.
Do you really?
Yeah. It is. My wife thinks it's the weirdest thing, but like, so I work from home a lot. And when I try to take breaks and all, throw the TV on, it is so fascinating to me the shit that people do on that show that is just like the most insane stuff ever. So that was just a great reference.
I think Catfit, that show is great because it's like, it just shows you how desperate people are for like that connection. And it's like, yeah, every time we meet, he's like, yeah, dude, I flew to London to try and meet her, but she said she was sick. So I just like hung up by myself for 2 weeks and then came home.
Yeah.
But she still loves me.
And the crazy
thing, what the hell? You're not okay, buddy. We're here for you.
So there's like, I have like this issue where I just do research on a ton of shit, and it ruins everything for me because I was like an American Pickers guy, and it's like, oh, like that guy wasn't driving down the road and found this fucking $40,000 artifact. Like there's a whole team that like called. So with that, I found out on Catfish that most of the time it is the person who's the catfish that actually calls the show and feels bad and wants to come clean, and that the people sign over like the rights to make it look like you're the one that contacted them, and also like you can't tell what's real and what's not, because usually it's actually like the fucking freak show that's like, you know, in the back of the car or at mom's house in the shed.
So
like doing
if the basically what you're saying is if the catfish people show up to your house to tell you,
Usually
like, oh,
you
you've been selected, it's chances are the person that you're trying to meet is catfished you, and they've, you know, set you up.
And further, like it's almost a game where like the production team knows who the catfish is and all this other stuff, but like the guys that are the hosts don't. So it's almost more or less like they're playing this like Where's Waldo shit, where like the guys know it and they're not allowed to say anything. So like you see a couple times, like this one, they were like knocking on this
what is he doing
door.
down there?
He's catfishing.
You definitely can hear that on the microphones. Rambo's like struggling on the ground.
And, like, the dude, like, the host turned to the camera, and I was like, what the we're not even in the right fucking state. And the guy's like, I couldn't say anything. What do you want me to do? So they, like, knew they were getting on a plane and, like, going somewhere where this chick wasn't, because that's what the dude thought. And I was like, God, dude, it's not. Like, it's actually cooler when you think about it. You're, like, sitting there, like, you're the production guy. You're like, this motherfucker's, like, 3 states away, and I can't say shit. So I guess we're staying at this Holiday Inn tonight.
You'd be like slip him a Post-it note and just light it on fire real quick. You'd be like, I didn't say anything.
Like, we're supposed to be in Kansas right now, dude. Let's fucking go. It's like,
We're in New York.
it's like, okay, like, this guy's not here, brother. All right, man. Yeah, it was weird, dude. So,
Have you ever looked into Antiques Roadshow?
yeah, love Antiques Roadshow.
Is that shit real?
That's more like it's older, so it's more
Yeah.
like you see the people on that show, and like American Pickers is real, but it's not. Like, hey,
When
I'm
they're
driving.
filming-
It's like, oh, that sign looks like it was from 1916. Let's pull over there. And like Johnny's got like $4 million in collectibles. Like, there's like a whole team that they sort of show, like the people that work at the store making phone calls and all. But there's like a whole thing behind it of like research and this and that, where it's like it makes it look like they're just, you know, driving around the back roads of America and they stumble on this thing. It's like that's really not what happened.
But that's why YouTube's so successful, because all those single creators can just film on a phone, and it's much more authentic. And I think that, you know, we grew up just with everything very curated, and now everything's like wild. Like when I watch these kids on the iPads and stuff, like 1 minute they're playing a game, next minute they're watching YouTube, next minute they're playing a different game, next minute I'm like, dude, you
And there's no
chill the hell out.
patience, dude, and that's why like with their brains, it's scary, dude. And but like if I forget which Steve Jobs movie it was, because there was 2 or 3 that came out relatively around the same time, but like he does this thing where he's like, I literally want a 3-year-old kid to be able to use any device I create. And he had his like 3 or 4-year-old daughter like messing with the Mac and stuff, and like you see my 4-year-old kid do it, and you're like, motherfucker did it. Like this chick, like we'll be at dinner, and I'll be getting texts, and you just see her like angry fucking swiping up like she's trying to watch a video. And I'm like, shit. I'm like, I need to get those calls. Like that's what's paying for this dinner. And she's like, no, like we're watching like Ryan's World or Bluey or something. I'm like,
Bluey.
what the fuck? Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Yeah, I see with my nephews, they definitely have lost patience.
No patience.
So what my sister does is now they can't use their iPads until 5 p.m. So they're always waiting around. They're like, what time is it?
Yep.
I'm like, it's 4:30. They're like, 30 minutes.
So we
30
did it
minutes.
where like there's a timer on them, and my kids cracked the code with they figured out the fucking passcode and shit. So like my wife, like we would get
Well,
like
I don't
15
want to.
minute-
I don't want to say this one too loud, but I heard a thing recently where somebody gave their kid had the passcode thing on there, and they like handed it over to their parents to like type the code in so they could unlock their phone, but they had screen record on,
Yeah.
so they recorded what their mom like typed in the password, so they were like, "Thank you."
Yep.
Sounds
You little
crazy.
demon.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, dude,
nuts.
Like how these kids are masterminds. Like that kid's definitely gonna run a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, man, the stuff that they're capable of, it's just like, and like, he's got me trying to like learn how to play like video games and stuff, and like the stuff that they can do, yeah, like my 4-year-old on the iPad is just nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you could still kick his ass.
I don't know,
So like
dude.
he's
don't
pretty
know.
good.
Also,
I
I
mean,
think
I'm just kind of pretty bad.
I feel like deep down inside, or deep down, there is some kind of advantages to it. For example, my nephews understand user interfaces now, and I can just give them any program and they'll figure out how to use it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's super impressive.
But what's going to happen is the haves and have-nots. Some kids are going to be, plugged in, and if that continues to be like the economic driver that like we currently see, there are going to be kids that are not plugged in. Like, imagine if you knew how to use like spreadsheets and stuff as a child, or like build an app. You're gonna have that, like, the blue collar, like white collar dichotomy is now gonna be like flipped to like computers, non-computers. So it's like labor, non-labor. It's like,
Yeah, and I think that
it's not ever bad. There's just two sides to every situation.
Yeah. I think in the
Unless you're on
recruiting
the wrong
world,
side.
like I was actually just watching something where it was like, for like our whole time growing up, it was like, your kids need to understand computers and programming, and that's the future and all. And like, there was this lecture of like, computers are so simple now that like you can do whatever, like we were talking about the LinkedIn picture, or there's like these AI videos, or like so for me being a recruiter, I'm a sales guy through and through. I can't complete 2 sentences on a computer. I can't punctuate. Like, it's just not me. I'm like this. So, like, I use ChatGPT. I'm like, write me a job description for a clinical director in LA for this kind of stuff. And in 2 seconds, I have it, and I post the thing and all. So, it's like the push to these kids need to be able to, like, use all kind of computers and programming and all these schools. Like, was that Lincoln Tech? Remember that shit? Like, with the old computer and the infomercial and all. And now it's like, dude, like, you don't need to do any of that because AI and all this stuff is going to make it so easy that, like, that's just at the back of your finger. So hopefully it goes back to an even playing field where the more creative people, you know, get the spotlight that they might not have.
Yeah, I also, like, we didn't grow up before we grew up, so it gets really hard to tell unless you sit down with, like, an old fart these days, a boomer.
Sure.
But when I look back on the last, like, I'm 36 now. I'm doing, well for myself, I guess. Sometimes I don't feel like I am, I'm not,
That's another episode.
I haven't made it to like the toy purchasing level yet, so I'm not quite there. But sometimes I look back and I'm like, wow, I was really fortunate that I like accidentally put together a crazy amount of diverse skills that ultimately afforded me like the lifestyle I have now, which is like awesome.
Yeah.
So when I look at the younger kids or like at jiu-jitsu, different things, like the younger kids that I can like put the impression on, I'm like, you got to think about skills. Whereas our parents, like the boomers, they went like me, you worked in the same job for like 40 years and then you retired. You only needed you didn't like the diversity of skills wasn't necessarily as important. I could be talking out of my ass.
No, it's spot on.
But like, I think if these kids are, diversify their skill sets and like, you're good at the iPad, but you're also good at something else, I think they're going to go quite farther than we did, because they're doing things that, I didn't get good at spreadsheets until college because I had to for college. Whereas like some of these kids are programming and doing things at very young ages that, people our age weren't doing until they were 20.
Yeah.
But now they're doing when they're like 6. Like, what are you going to be doing when you're 20?
Yeah, you can't even imagine, because it's like the whole, like, even, the bachelor's degree when I got out of college in like 2007 was like kind of not as sought after as it was a generation before, and now it's kind of this assumed thing. But like, you're looking at, like you said, these kids that like, what my dad would always say this, the typical boomer, but he's like, you guys have so many options that if you're not great at something, you just quit right away. And it's like, oh, like I suck at skateboarding, I'm going to get rollerblades, or I suck at this, I'm going to do that. And like he always says, when we were kids, you either played like football, basketball, or soccer, or you were in a band, or you just did nothing. Like those were your 3 options. And then you went and you got a job. Like my grandpa worked at Whitman's in Northeast Philly, 40 years, retired, got a watch. That was it. And like, my dad even having like 2 jobs was like, oh my God, like you're a job hopper. Then he looks at guys like me, and it's just like, it's not that way anymore. You don't have to stay. So like even in my recruiting business, when I talk to people, they're like, I'm so afraid of being a job hopper. I'm like, dude, it's not like that anymore. Like you don't have to be afraid of that.
It's like a gig. It's truly a gig economy where, you're hopping from one opportunity to the next, feeling like it's better for our economy in a lot of ways. Like there are a few economists that argue it's not. But I think it's good that we're able to kind of just like move like water, like where it needs to go.
Yep.
It's interesting because I have one of the electricians I'm working with a lot right now. Like I've known since first grade, college educated. I have a college education. Like we all, did that path. But he's an electrician now. Like he made a conscious decision after he even had kids to be like, look, like this world I'm in sucks. But if I'm an electrician, and like we were all told like, no, you got to go to college. It was like frowned upon to be in tech school.
Yep.
But now we're all in fields that are related to like tech. So, it's interesting to think, like, what are we pressing upon kids these days? Like, we were the generation where it's like, you got to go to school or you're not worth anything. Now, like, what are we doing to these kids that, like, we shouldn't be doing? Like, we should have given more freedom to, like, our generation. But these kids, like, and when people are like, oh, keep them away from the computers or keep them away from this, I'm like, yeah, but are we going to look back on that and be like, we shouldn't have done that? Like,
Yeah,
it
same
was
thing.
The time changed.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. Like, that was our thing, was like, you got to go to college, you got to do this. And now, like, you look at, there's this documentary called Borrowed Future, and it's about, like, all these kids, like, that took out hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loans and had no idea what they wanted to do, went to school because they felt like they had to, and now they're starting behind the eight ball. There was this one kid who was, like, trying to get into, like, production in LA and stuff, and he's like, I think he went to Columbia or something. He's like, I have $600,000 in student loan debt, and I'm making $43,000 in LA. I probably could have just went there and got a job getting coffee and shit and climbed up the ranks. And so it's like, you look at these kids, and I think the most fascinating thing, like, from, the business owner standpoint, is no 18-year-old kid could go into a bank and say, I want $100,000 to start my own business. Every fucking 18-year-old kid could go in and say, I want $100,000 to go to school. No problem. Here's loans. Here's this. Here's that. Here's that. And it's, like you said, it's not empowering what we really are. And you look at the 8-hour school day and all these things. Like, it's the whole world that we live in is designed to create factory workers. It's designed to create yes men, and, like, guys like us that are these counterculture people, it's definitely the path less traveled for sure, because they just, like, my son says all the time, like, why is school so long? Why is this? Like, he is no path that I see that's like, this kid just needs a bachelor's in business and this, because I think that it's not for him, and I would love to see him go into something where he just believes in himself, and at 18 is like, Dad, like, I don't fucking know what I want to study. So instead of taking 200 G's out in this, like, can we try and start, a little side business or something like that? Because we don't empower kids like that.
Yeah, that's cool to hear. I'm really fascinated with a lot of different YouTubers, specifically the young ones.
Yeah.
I'm 36 now, so I'm starting to realize, I'm like, watching these talented people, especially musicians and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, these people are really good, and they're way younger than me. I'm old now. But these younger guys or younger people rather, are creating these channels, and, like, whatever the product may be. There's one show I'm watching right now in background TV. It's called How Ridiculous. And they just, like, they find, like, the one series of videos right now is they just found a dam in Sweden.
Yep.
And they just throw stuff off the dam.
He watches them.
Yeah, he watches them.
Yep.
So it's cool that I'm watching the same stuff as your child.
Yeah.
But they just, like, and I'm so fascinated that these guys, and you can, if you go 5 years back in the footage, what they're doing, like, I think I went to a 3-year back one today, and it was just kind of like a helicopter kind of thing out of samurai swords, and they were dropping fruit into it.
Yeah.
It had millions of views.
That's
and these
crazy.
guys were, in college at the time they're filming this. And now they're, like, in now videos, they have, like, kids. They have products they sell each month. Like, they're probably printing money. But now they're, like, adults. They could be in their late 20s, the early 30s. I don't know. Flying around the world being like, yeah, I throw bouncy balls off of dams.
That's nuts.
Or carb channels where they're, they started out, like, trying to figure out how to change their own wheels. And now they have, like, a race team. So it's cool to see. We're now getting access and a lot of inspiration from people's lives, seeing how people are creating. And I think I call it YouTube University jokingly, but I personally have benefited so much from learning from YouTube, especially a lot of, like, the video editing and stuff is all from YouTube. I look at these kids nowadays, and, there obviously is an effect on them that's, to be monitored or questioned, or be like, what are we doing here with this attention to technology? But at the same time, like, what could they possibly create is boundless, and that's kind of exciting too. So, I don't have kids yet, so I'm like, give them the iPads and let's see.
Yeah.
But that might change once I have kids. My opinion might change. Like, I'm like, I hear from psychologists, like, this isn't good, but these aren't my kids, so, like, let's fuel this.
Yeah.
Let's see what your kid can do.
Fuck with my kids. Yeah. It's super interesting, though, because, like, my kids will come in with, I mean, what these young folks, and, like, you look at, like, the Mr. Beast and those guys, like, what they've learned about business is, I mean, like, the kids will come in and be like, can we get Mr. Beast Burger tonight? And I'm like, there's no Mr. Beast Burger around. They're like, no. Like, he signed a contract with Friendly's and Chuck E. Cheese where, like, they make his shit and put it in his labels and they'll deliver it. And I'm like, then we'll, like, we went to 7-Eleven and my 4-year-old daughter, Kaya, she was like, can I get a D's Nuts bar? I'm like, what? And I was like, Mr. Beast, like, D's Nuts. And it's like, I like that stuff because it's these kids are just learning how to create businesses. I mean, I remember, like, from our age, like, I'm not the biggest fan personality-wise, but, like, Rob Dyrdek was like that with the
I was just gonna say that.
I love Rob Dyrdek.
Rob Dyrdek is besides maybe CKY, it's like CKY,
Yeah.
then it started becoming Jackass. Like, those guys, what would those guys have looked like if it was on YouTube? I think of that. But Rob Dyrdek, like,
He's
like a billionaire now.
Yeah. He got it with, I mean, you look at, he did an interview about this recently that I watched about, like, everything I did was strategically placed. I had the rights to everything. There was the DC logo. There was the Young and Reckless logo from my cousin's company. Like, he's like, I would sit there and just go, like, how can we do this? And the amount of brands, like Big Black's Clothing Company and all these things, like Ken Block from Monster with the racing and all these things. Like, you look at every business that came out of just that show. And that show was just some grown men fucking around, throwing shit around, jumping on, like, you know, the half pipe and all. And it really, I think, has proven you don't need to go to, you know, Princeton or Harvard and get a business degree to be successful, because a lot of those cats work for these guys.
I think it comes down to we're clearly not on their level, like, creation-wise. But I think when we talk to people, like, we've been doing this now 4 years. Out of the gate, we took this seriously.
Yeah.
A lot has changed, and we've improved things where we needed to, and we have, like, a very clean system now, and, like, how everything goes out, and it's very not automated. People still have to, like, edit stuff.
Sure.
But we took it seriously, and it's still here, and it's done, like, really cool things for us. And I really think at the end of the day, as long as you take yourself seriously, and, you know, not in, like, a dumb way, but be like, hey, like, for instance, the camera equipment, we spent a lot of money on that stuff. Like, all of this stuff, all these microphones, like, we wanted good equipment from the beginning, because if we're going to do this, and it's going to be anything, it has, like, people have to see we're taking this seriously.
Yep.
And with those guys, I noticed they go all in on ideas. I listened to a podcast with Rob Dyrdek one time. This is probably 5 or 6 years ago now, because I'm trying to think of, like, what kitchen I was in at the time. I think it was 6 years ago. And he was talking about this. It was a business podcast. It might have been Tim Ferriss. Okay. And he was saying, like, his strategy was basically to build $110 million companies. They're like, well, how are you going to get to $1 billion? And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, you just build, like, these $10 million companies, and then you have $100 million. And then you just build, like, a bunch of those, and then you, like, figure out how to get them to, like, you know, some of them will make it to 200 million. Yep. And then you're there. And I was just listening to this, and he said it in such a way, I'm like, wow, that is totally possible. Yeah. Like, you could totally do that. So, you know, I think it's cool that these kids have YouTube, and I understand why people are concerned, but
I think the biggest thing, the not downfall, but with the immediate, like, I even see it with him, like, when he started the YouTube channel, it's like, how many subscribers do I have? And I'm like, dude, if that's the only reason you're doing it, like, that's not why. Like, the people that succeed are doing it because they want to. And, like, I think that instant gratification can be a detriment where, like, dude, you have to work your ass off. And, like, I don't care. So, like, you know, same thing with, like, he's doing certain activities and all, and, like, he wants to stop them. And I'm like, we can figure out, like, if that's to stop. But, like, there has to be something else. Like, it's not, you're not sitting around, because if you're not working your ass off for you, you're going to work your ass off later for somebody else. And, like, that's the biggest thing I think that needs to be instilled, because you give everybody an iPhone and a microphone and shit like that, and we see a lot of stuff that we're not interested in because it was just thrown together. So I think the work ethic is one thing that still really needs to be instilled.
It's funny you say the iPhone. I was thinking about it this morning. I was like, I wonder how many pictures have been taken that didn't need to be taken, right? Like, how the internet, like, how much, like, if we wiped clean all of the pictures on the cloud that didn't need to be taken, how much free space would we have? Like, how efficiently would Dropbox run if, like, everything was... Have you ever thought about that? Like, people take care, like, especially with Rambo, when he has his service dog vest on, some dude at the gym earlier took a picture of us, and I learned a guy, and he's like, oh, beautiful dog. I was like, dude, it's kind of weird, right? He's like, oh, I'll delete it. I'm like, I don't, like, whatever. Like, you're an idiot. But like, what was the like? You're like, oh, he's so cute. I'm like, yeah, but like, what are you gonna go home later and like watch that? Like, look at that picture and be like, oh wow, what a cute dog. And then tomorrow you're gonna open it up and like every day you just open it up to remember the one time you were doing tricep pull downs and you saw a golden retriever. Like, what are you doing? Or like people at concerts, like
it's the first instinct.
It's like, I'm gonna just video this guitar solo right now. It's like you came to the show to witness this, not watch it through your phone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing when you see a fight break out or a fucking fire. You don't go to help, you go to film. Like your first instinct is pull my camera out. I gotta capture this, and you're like, dude, what? Like, it's just so like kids now, like they'll just like pose, like they know, all right, mom's gonna take a picture. Like, it's like, dude, like they're so ingrained that everything needs to be captured. And like you said, it's like, I like bands that are like, dude, put your phones away.
Yeah, but that's what's cool about Joe Rogan. I don't know if he was the one that started this, but I know his comedy club, allegedly, you have to put your phone in a bag. So, like, you keep your phone in your hand, but it's in a bag that, like, you can't open.
Yeah, they lock them.
So, like, you literally can't, like, you can. I'm like, damn, that's so. It's sad that we had to go to that level, but maybe we're witnessing that now, and there's, like, this weird generation that's, like, going to be technology addicts, and we're gonna have to like rehab these kids.
That's definitely gonna be the
maybe we should get into business and we should open a technology rehab center.
They already exist.
Oh damn, I thought we got
Facebook rehabs and all kinds. Dude, it's crazy.
Facebook rehabs.
Yeah,
but what about the generation after him? What if they're like? Because I already noticed that some of these kids don't post online. Like if it's not cool anymore.
It's almost like it's not cool.
If you only have one picture on your Instagram feed, like you're kind of a thug now. If you have if they looked at like one of our accounts and they'd be like, wow, 200, that's kind of dumb. That's the thing now. So I'm wondering if it'll maybe come back. Like he's into like 80s and 90s toys, but what if someday it'll come back and be like, we're into like no phone restaurants.
That'd be interesting.
Like no smoking sections.
Yeah.
Like
no
when we were growing up, the smoking section was just like the booth on the other side of the wall.
Yeah.
Like you literally, your smoke would go over into the restaurant. There was no difference. Like if you were going out to eat, you're smelling like cigarettes. A lot of places.
That was a flashback, dude. Remember the hostess smoking or non? That was the first thing they would say. Smoking or non?
Dude, give me that smoking section because we're gonna.
Yeah,
they get faster service.
Filtered or non?
That's nuts.
They want you out. I don't know. That was theory.
They want you.
But think about it. Like, will there be a time where like vapes were like the hack at one point where you could get a vape into the club?
Yeah.
And then now they're like, you do that, you get punched in the face. So you're getting thrown out just like a cigarette in a lot of places. But maybe eventually it becomes like a no phone. I know a lot of country clubs are like that.
No phone.
Like higher end country clubs, like they're like you're kind of like told to go to like, hey, go to that room over there, take your call, but don't do it out here.
Yeah.
Old timey bastards. You know?
Yeah. Kind of like that. It's good to take a break from your phone.
You do a good job of that.
Yeah, I try to.
I don't know that I do a good job of that as much as like I just get distracted by other stuff and then I'm like, where was my phone? Because when I know where my phone's at, or if it's a work day, not good.
No, if I'm with people or I'm doing something, if I'm out to dinner, it stays away. I don't like having it on the table. I don't, because it's I don't know. I like connecting. I like doing.
I like reaching. I'm just like.
Yeah, I was the same way.
There's nothing wrong with that.
But no, that's it, man. It's tough. It's the connection is like a forgotten art. It's like the safety blanket of emails. I'm the same way, like work and emails and LinkedIn, and it's like, you know, you have to feel like I remember. I like the baby boomer generation. I study like my dad and like all his like old.
You
school
like the
guys.
boomers?
I'm a boomer guy. Yeah, I'm big.
I think the boomers are narcissists.
Yeah, but that's kind of why I like. Maybe I am too. That's why I kind of like them.
The whole generation is like, we're gonna have kids, like we're gonna have handbags.
You start popping them out.
We didn't start parenting kids until his generation started having kids. Or my generation started having kids.
Yeah.
Doula? What the hell is a doula? Like
Yeah,
our
doula.
parents didn't have that.
Yeah, that's new to me, dude.
Yeah.
You went to the hospital at Frankfurt Ave in the back of a wagon that had like wood paneling on it.
I was born in Frankfurt Hospital, man.
Oh shit!
Yeah, dude, shout out Frankfurt Hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, one roof here, 186 West,
Yeah.
Frankfurt
That's
Hospital.
funny.
Shout out babies.
And I think I think there was a station wagon, like you said. That's how we got.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, man.
No wonder you have a toy problem.
Yeah,
you
dude.
drove to the hospital in a wagon.
Yeah, Frankfurt Hospital. I think my dad was like coaching soccer practice, popped in, and then rolled back over. Yeah,
Yeah, with the center column, like. Yeah.
just sit him in the middle between us. He'll be fine. That was like
Yeah. Now people are buying Subarus when they have babies. Like you care about their kids now.
It's wild, dude. Like built-in cars. Oh my god, the baby stuff is nuts, dude. Every year the amount of stuff that comes out. I'm glad that we're done.
But that's why I'm glad we grew up without safety. Like we were allowed to ride our bicycles. Like my mom didn't know. Like my mom took us to Tyler Park one time as kids and was like, "Oh, this is Tyler Park," and we're like, "Yeah, we know.
Yeah,
We've been sneaking up here for years, Mom."
yeah.
But like it was just like it was okay, like playing out in the field with the squad.
Did you ever
Like,
see
you weren't
that meme?
kidnapping one of us. We were like 20 kids deep everywhere we went.
That one like Facebook picture or meme or whatever where it's like a bunch of little kids and it's like I don't think any of our parents knew how far we actually rode our bikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I used to ride my shit far.
Yeah, dude. It was like you couldn't even imagine. It was like, all right, we'll be back then.
But it also like you rode it far, especially when you started talking to girls, right?
Yeah.
But like it also kind of skewed my perspective of how far other things were. Because I thought Doylestown, like I lived in Newtown, so like I would ride my bike like Holland, like Richburg, like around decent amount of area. But
Yeah,
Doylestown was like might as well have been Narnia.
It's like Taiwan.
We can't
yeah.
ride our bikes there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I had no like
So
dude, like when MySpace came out, this one girl, like I was talking to this girl on MySpace. That's a thing.
Nice.
Top 8.
And she was like,
Yeah,
"Oh
top
man, I live in Doylestown." And I was like,
This ain't gonna
might as
work.
well end we might as well end this conversation. But now I drive to Newtown on like to have lunch.
Yeah.
But back then I was like, "Damn, fucking Doylestown." I've only heard of that place like 3 times.
Yeah, dude.
It's like Seinfeld. Kramer won't date girls from uptown. He's like, I'm not going uptown. No way, dude. Yeah.
That's funny as shit.
Oh my god, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was definitely.
Speaking of that time, I have my Dyno VFR from when I was a kid. Still, I still ride it.
I saw it my bike.
Do you?
Yeah,
What
I
was
have a
it?
Dyno.
You were a Diamondback or what were you?
I had a Dyno Detour.
No way.
Yeah, I have a prison
With mags? Yeah, the mags or the chromies?
It was chromed.
Nice.
Yeah, but it has like flat black wheels on it now. My paint, I have like a prism paint job, like a
Nice.
midnight purple, from a Skyline.
Dude, have you ever gone to the pump track in Doylestown?
No.
Oh, dude, we gotta go. Like dirt jumps
Dude,
and
just
stuff.
shred.
It's awesome.
Yeah, dude, my wife is gonna be so disappointed she introduced
Yeah,
us.
she's gonna be like, what? I go like early mornings, like on like weekdays when no one's there, and I just ride my bike and like film go. Yeah, I got hurt last year and like couldn't like get up. My knee was like bent sideways. My wife's like calling me and I'm like, I can't drive home. Like 38 years old, jumping a dyno bike in the woods by myself.
BMX AAA, call it in.
Oh, that's so funny,
Shoot
dude.
him a flare.
My dad's a recruiter. Like, called me. He's like, "You working?" I'm like, "No, I'm dirt jumping." He's like, "What?" He's like, "Dude, go home. What is wrong with you?" I'm like, pedaling the thing and all. Like, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Dirt
It's just
jumping.
I keep bringing up certain cars I want, but I also like want to keep buying I want to buy dirt bikes and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
dude.
Ariel was like, Where'd you
Where'd you get your dyno teacher? Did you get it at guys' bikes?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. That's where
Yeah, we're gonna
crazy.
we just started we're gonna start a business together.
I can't believe you guys
Frankfurt
have
Avenue.
Yeah, Frankfurt boys,
Yeah.
dude.
That's nuts. I'm from Trenton, so I don't know.
I'm sorry, dude. You didn't
Yeah,
have a
I'm
bu-
sorry, dude. It's fine.
Did you have a
I
BMX bike?
actually
I have
trash
Huffy.
picked another dyno VFR for him so we can go together because I have 2.
Oh shit! There you go.
Yeah.
Gilmar, you would look wild on a bicycle jumping because your hair's so
Your
long.
hair
Oh, yeah,
flies in the
probably, yeah.
background.
Yeah, I look beautiful, probably.
Yeah, you'd probably be romantic on a bike.
I
Yeah.
could be, dude.
Majestic.
Yeah.
Majestic, yeah, that's
Majestic
a good
would
way
be
to
the
put
word.
it.
That's the word.
I had a fucking. I think my dad bought my brother and I Huffies from Walmart.
Yeah.
That's what we used to
Yeah.
fucking get around town.
I had the Huffy. It was called the Huffy Rocker with the radio in the front. It was in like the J.C. Penney
Dude,
catalog.
that bike
bad.
was wild.
Yeah.
That bike was bad.
Yeah, the radio didn't work though because
Yeah,
like
not-
didn't even have an antenna. You couldn't even get AM radio. So like
What the
the
hell?
kid in the like commercial and all, you're
Such
like,
a
dude,
lie.
it doesn't play shit.
Yeah.
I like taped a tape player to him, rode around with like the cassette of Michael Jackson Dangerous.
That's
riding
what's up,
around.
dude. Hell yeah.
His radio didn't work, so I had to make it go.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did tons of dumb shit like that.
Yeah.
We built the world's like longest extension cord one time. You heard about? Dude, I had a half pipe in my backyard.
No way.
Yeah, my mom let us build it. It was single mom. She did not know what we were getting into.
Oh, dude, that's
my brother
awesome.
got the plans off the internet. He was like 12.
How tall was it?
I think it was like 4 or 5 feet. I think it was like 60 inches, so probably about 5 feet.
Way, dude.
Yeah, and the one side was like We ran out of wood kind of towards the end, so we had a railing on the one side. So we're like, we'll put the railing on this side because the shed's right there, and there was like a weird space between the pipe and the shed. So we're like, well, we don't want to fall in there. But on the other side was like an evergreen tree, like Rockefeller size evergreen tree. And we're like, we just won't put the railing up on this side because it's kind of a pain in the ass to get to back there. If like you fall over there, that's your fault.
Yeah.
Everybody fell over that side. Dude, we do like, yeah. And then my dad was like, my mom was like, good for whatever you guys want to do, like, just get it done, whatever.
That's awesome.
And my dad showed up one day and was like, these kids need to be signing waivers. Like, we need insurance waivers and shit. My mom's like, what's that? These kids are fine.
Yeah, they're fine, dude.
That's funny because my buddy had, we built a 4x8 quarter pipe, and his mom was waiting at the driveway with the waivers for everybody, sign our life away and all that stuff.
The funny thing is, like, what my mom and my dad both didn't realize back then, which I now have, like, astute legal knowledge. If a minor signs a waiver, it does not mean anything.
It means nothing.
So all these kids signed waivers, and my dad was like, all right, cool. It's like, no. They don't even own property. Like, what these kids, the parents are going to sue you.
That's so funny, dude.
Your Honor, I present Article 1. He's like, that's in fucking crayon.
Most of these kids' parents, like, they don't even know that they're at this house right now.
No, for real. That's funny as shit.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, Joe Teresi, he's like one of my buddies. He's my painter, and he's the nicest guy in the world. Like, just one of those people you're just like, I got to be friends with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
He told one of the
What's
customers,
his name?
Joe Teresi.
I don't know. Okay.
If you knew him, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
He told like one of our customers one time we were like shooting the shit, and he was like, yeah, like we'd have to lie about going to Andrew's house.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? That's true.
That's funny as hell, dude.
Yeah, we were wild kids. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny, dude. I love that. I have to lie to go to Andrew's house.
Whatever.
Dude, I wish I was friends with you when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're 7 years difference, but I think we would have been crazy.
Could you imagine if we were friends and I was like 16 and you were like, what, 9?
Yeah.
I was just teaching you shit. I was like, dude, this is my apprentice.
Yeah, dude.
Riding on the back of the pegs.
We did have a kid like that. I don't know if I should say his name or not. I know he's an adult now, but he might be in prison because it was not looking good for his outlook.
Dang.
But we had it was like a younger brother of like my brother's friends. And this kid would go everywhere with us when we were younger. And like when he started coming up through elementary school, we started getting like feedback from like his mom or like different people. Be like, dude, did you hear what that kid did in first grade? Like he was complete criminal by first grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, ruined.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so you got to be careful. That's the
Yeah.
other dangers with internet right now.
It
Is
is.
like you kids find out. What do you think? Like, what do you think the most wild thing your kid has seen on the internet?
I don't know. I hope. I don't know. My youngest watches like weird like horror stuff, and she's like, "Dad, is this scary?" And it's like not like fun scary. It's like insane shit where it's like skulls and this, and she's like, "Watch the end of it, like the eyes bleed." And I'm like, "What the fuck are you watching?" Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
crazy,
guess
dude.
that's better than her like coming up to you and be like, "Watch this," and she shows you like a Ukrainian tanker getting hit by like a drone. You're like, "Whoa, honey, this was not. Like, we don't watch this."
Have you heard of creepypasta?
No.
What's creepypasta?
Look it up when you guys go home or something.
My son's like typing now, like,
Oh shit! No, don't look that up, dude. No, you can find it on YouTube. It's just weird shit. But I don't know if you guys remember the Pain Olympics. Did you ever hear about that? Whereas these people would make these messed up videos and put them online of, for example, a guy stuffing a glass jar up his ass or something like that, and then he would break it while it's in his ass, and he. Yeah.
Oh my
so,
God.
But the thing is, my entire life I thought this was real, and then I looked it up again maybe a couple of years ago, and apparently these were special effects people, and they put a reel together of special effects, but it looks so real.
Ours
dude.
was Faces of Death when we were kids. Remember that?
Yeah, Faces is
That was
definitely
like E-Bomb's World.
Seeing a dude like a cartel guy chop another guy's head off with a chainsaw.
Oh, yeah.
But he just like instead of doing it like swinging a chainsaw like a samurai sword, all he does is he comes up to the one dude. There's like 3 dudes lined up. He just nicks him with the saw in the throat. He's like, "Oops, maybe I'll come back to that guy." And he gets the other guys, and they're just like,
Oh yeah.
"Yeah, I can't unsee this."
Dude, one time we were at work and this dude was like, "I just watched something messed up. Do you guys want to watch it?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then it's a video of this guy screaming while they're decapitating him. And dude, my heart dropped. I was like,
Yeah,
I can't
'cause-
believe I just saw that at work.
Because you have to like saw the head
Yeah,
off.
dude.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I've
it
seen
was-
Tony Soprano
seen-
made it look
gnarly.
easy. It was not that easy.
No. Not that easy, dude.
Yeah, dude.
I was like, I can't believe I just saw, I have to work an 8-hour shift and you just showed me this, dude. It's 9 a.m.
You got to put together a pretty powerful, machine or very sharp object with some serious velocity behind it to clean decapitate.
Then a katana would do it.
No, I don't.
Damn.
I think if like The Rock swung a katana on like somebody with a weak neck, my neck goes rock hard.
F1 driver, not happening.
Yeah, you're probably not chopping an F1 driver's head off
Yeah.
because their necks are like, that's all they got going for them.
These dudes
Have you
are
ever
strong.
seen an F1 driver? They're super skinny. They look like aliens.
Oh,
They have
yeah,
these
yeah,
fat
yeah.
necks because
Yep.
they're like,
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Did you see the video of? So there's this F1 driver named Carlos Sainz. He races for Ferrari, and for his birthday they brought him a cake. And usually when they tell you to blow on the case or take a bite or whatever, they try to push your face into it. And this guy full force tried to jam his head, and he just couldn't do it.
No way.
He just couldn't get his head down.
Yeah.
I was like, why would you try to do that to an F1 driver? Their necks are insanely strong, dude.
It's insane.
Yeah, I was pretty blown away by that.
Yeah.
I wonder if Colin's neck's that strong.
Colin
Yeah, you think
Thompson?
You think his neck's
having
that strong?
tried to choke him before, he's got a strong neck.
Damn,
Yeah.
that's nuts.
Our buddy used to race cars. Kind of still does.
Yeah,
Wow.
But like
Crazy.
really fast cars.
yeah, strong neck.
He's just
boy.
strong boy.
Strong dude.
Strong.
yeah. Dude, we didn't even get to talk about. See, you said you make connections, you connect people. How do you get on about starting a recruiting firm, or how does that work?
Excellent, serious question, Gomar.
Nice pivot.
That was a good pivot.
How did I start mine? Basically.
Yeah, like how do you go on about that?
I mean, my dad has owned his own firm for 45 years. When I was a kid, like my son's age over there, I would clean the office for him. I was always around it. I always knew people, like when you're in grade school. It's like, what's your dad do for a living? Like, my dad helps people get jobs. That's all I said. And as I grew up, I started to learn a little more. My grandpa retired, worked for him. And then in like high school and college a little bit during the summers, I would help out. And there's a couple different kinds of recruiting, but there's permanent, which means like you get hired as a W-2 employee. And then there's like the temp agency stuff or like labor ready and stuff where it's kind of like gig work. And so I would do a lot of the temp agency stuff where back then, old school computers, not like nobody even had email, nobody had phones in their pockets. So I'd have to drive around to like certain factories and stuff in Northeast Philly and get time cards signed and then bring them back and then the paychecks processed and do it. And so I learned the business at a very young age. Had no real interest in it, and then got sober and started working in the behavioral health field for treatment centers, doing what they call like outreach, where I would be on the road trying to help people that were struggling, get into treatment centers that I worked for. And the longer that I was in the field, the more my friends opened up their own rehabs, and we were all kind of like competing for that same patient pool, or it was a very cluttered industry and still is. And I was thinking about leaving it completely. And my dad said to me, like, you've been in behavioral health for like 10 years, like figure out something they could all use. And in the beginning, probably like 8 years into it, some of my friends started needing help, and I would like farm the jobs to my dad's company, and he would do them. But it wasn't an interest of his to get fully into that. And he didn't understand the lingo like someone in it. And so it really just kind of took off, and he was like, dude, you should really try to make a go at this. So I started the first company with a couple partners, and we all worked in it for about a year. Got to the end of year one, kind of just had different intentions. I value being home. I value being with the kids and all. They kind of wanted to have this big office in Philly and all this other stuff. So I just decided to go out on my own and fully work for myself like 2 years ago. And so I've been fully on my own for like 2.5 years. Work from home. I have some contractors and stuff for me that do some work and 1099 stuff, but you can really do it with no overhead. I've never met most of my clients, and it's just one of those things that like it's worked out really, really well. And like I said, with technology, you can do it from anywhere.
Yeah, damn, no overhead. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there's look, like when we were in that cool space station building, there was overhead of like, probably 30 or 40 grand a month from salaries to a big rent to this and that. And like, I just looked around and I was like, we don't need any of this. Like the candidate who is the person getting the job, they're not coming to our office. most of my clients are not within a 20-mile radius of here anyway. I'm not meeting anybody. So I didn't need an office. I didn't need full-time employees. I didn't need all this kind of crazy, IT and all this stuff. So, like, my computer, LinkedIn, I spend about 8 hours a day on LinkedIn. I'm on the phone all day. And I've been very fortunate that I don't do a lot of cold business development because I've supervised relatively large teams, mostly in the Northeast, but like I ran a facility in Beverly Hills, like the outreach side of it for a while. And so I had what they call outreach people in many different states. So I know people kind of all over. So like last year, I think I did like 60 or 70 full-time placements in, I think, 17 different states just for people in the addiction space.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
You looking for a job, Kumar?
Oh,
Would you ever branch out into other industries?
I would never say never. I've been blessed that I don't have to. And I don't mean that to sound like grandiose or arrogant, but like my dad is kind of more of a generalized recruiter. In certain times he was very big in mechanical engineering and then in construction, and he's kind of done a lot of, I don't want to say like general stuff, but he's more broad. This space has been so good to me that like I wouldn't turn something down, but I haven't needed to approach, I mean, the two things that make me, a viable partner, I think, are one, I got sober, so I was in these rehabs and I know what it's been through and I can talk the lingo. And two, like I climbed the ranks in the companies. So like I tell people, any job that you're bringing me in to hire for, I've either supervised it, done it, or like like I've never supervised a doctor, but I've been in the C-suite and collaborated with them. So like I know what goes into it. So I think that's what like some people have asked me about recruiting. Like, well, how do you recommend you get into it? And I was like, dude, like the industry that you're in, I'm sure uses recruiters. Like just figure out a way to do it. And like there's recruiting in every industry.
Mm.
So you kind of parlayed your experience, like from being an addict to going to rehab to then getting a job in that world. You kind of grew into this role.
It was the plan. When I was like 16, I was like, all right, shoot heroin for 10 years and then start a company.
That's the joke I was going to make.
Yeah. No, go there. Yeah. No, it's...
so heroin was your drug of choice?
I mean, opiates, like I started at... I started stealing cigarettes and beers from the parents when you're in grade school, and then it climbs up to weed, and then it goes, I mean, it's the same story for everybody. Then it goes to pills, and then these pills don't work, so you got to get stronger ones, and then you don't eat them, you snort them, and then you don't do that. And
so you were just recreational doing pills, like you weren't introduced because like you tore your ACL. And
a lot of people were like, they had an injury. I was like, I guess boredom. I don't know. Like it's, the weed and the drinking was like relatively popular. I knew I had some kind of issues relatively young because I was one of the only ones of my friends that would like drink and smoke weed alone. Like a lot of people were like, well, we're going out and we're going to drink in the woods. And I was like, I'll fucking drink in my room by myself and like listen to music. And that was something that like, like alcohol and drugs are very different. Where like alcohol, like you want to go out and you party, or like that Coke, like that kind of is this like extroverted stuff. And like the opiate scene, at least for me, like I didn't want to like, oh, I just did a bag of dope, I'm going to go socialize with people. Like I just want to nod out and fucking chill. So in college I drank like a fish and did drugs. And then after that, alcohol got me into like a good amount of trouble. Had 2 DUIs, crashed some cars and stuff. And like alcohol and weed are the two easiest, I think, to get caught doing, because like one stinks and one you're loaded. So like I could hide the other stuff, or like I would say for a long time, like pills have no smell, and like if I'm dipping out I stay in my room. So I think like as I graduated college, the physical addiction to the opiates like really took over, and that was where the drinking certainly slowed, and then it was more just like drugs every day nonstop. And then it was graduated from perks to oxys to dope, and then IV use, and then speedballs and all that.
I don't know if the mic tripped down there.
It's drooping. Yeah.
Dang,
that's it's a roller coaster of things, man.
It was a ride for sure.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, dude, I wouldn't change. I say all the time, I used to speak a lot at schools and kids, and I would change the pain I caused others, but I wouldn't change anything I went through. Like the fact that now, like my wife and I went to high school together. I took her to our homecoming dance high school year. We split up for 10 years. We both developed addictions. I got sober. Her mom called me to try and like do an intervention and help her. I was the one that got her into treatment. I sent her down to Florida. When she came home and had some time, we started hanging out again. And now we're married with 3 kids. And like every insane, fucked up thing that I went through is why I'm here. Super weird. Like I was actually driving up here today. Is which is so shitty that there's a day for it, but March 6th is called Black Balloon Day, and it's for all your friends who have passed away from overdoses and stuff. Like the fact that that's a
Black Balloon Day.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. It sucks. There's been a lot, but so I'm the relationships have been, I think, repaired. I mean, after almost 13 years and that kind of stuff. So I'd go through it all again 100 times, and it was fucking bad.
How do you, like, as a parent, and like, you know, you were an addict or are an addict, however you want to say it. How do you kind of like have those conversations with your kids to, you know, one, prevent that behavior, but also like be upfront with them about like your human experience?
I think the first thing you said is you were an addict or are. I mean, you saw my toy room. I'm still a junkie. So, like, let's be very clear. My wife and I have not fully decided. Like, our oldest is 9 on, you know, what it is. They know we don't drink. They know that, like, there's a, not special day of the year, but, like, my wife's anniversary is the day after Valentine's Day, and, like, we acknowledge it and usually go to dinner and that kind of stuff. And, you know, our kids know that, like, other people, you know, we can be around if families having a glass of wine and stuff like that, but, like, mommy and daddy don't drink. You know, I want my kids to be very aware. I don't expect my kids to not experiment and stuff like that, but, like, a very real conversation of, like, yo, whether you believe that, like, there's a genetic, like, predisposed composition or not, like, I got hooked on some shit really bad, and it, like, almost ruined my life, and, like, they're certainly going to understand the gravity that can come from it. And, like, from kids like me, like, you usually can't just smoke a joint and be cool. Like, it leads you to something. And when you have that mental complexity that, like, that's all you're focused on, like, you start to see it with the kids with the iPads, and you take that from them. And it's like, so the addictive tendencies are there. And I think the drugs are so powerful now that anybody can get it. I don't get into that whole, is it genetic? Is it this? Is it that? Is it a disease? Like, it doesn't fucking matter if it's a disease by the FDA or not. It can ruin your life, and you got to know how to fix it. So I'm under no illusion that, you know, me telling them not to do shit will work, but
yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, so I guess because of your experience, you are now in this niche field and you seem to be thriving in it. Is that kind of why you haven't had interest in going to other industries, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I mean, you know, to speak about, like, if you're doing, like, kitchens or you're remodeling something, like, if the neighborhood you're in is good and paying well, like, you're not saying, hey, let me go drive 4 towns away to see if they want my services. And that's just kind of what it's been. It's been, hey, like, my buddy used you. Hey, like, I need this. And, you know, I've had what my dad says is, like, success that, you know, most people don't experience in the field, and that's not lost on me. And I don't think it's because I'm, you know, special. I think that I have tapped into something at the right time, and I think that a year from now that could totally change, and I might be not recruiting at all. I might be recruiting, you know, yacht mechanics. Who the hell knows? But I think learning the business this way is definitely transferable. I probably couldn't talk tech with you with all the stuff that you know, but if you give me a little bit and some kind of a job description and I start to learn the softwares, the programs or whatever, I know that I could fish out the people who don't know what they're talking about to get you a pool of, like, all right, these are the guys I'm looking for. And that's a skill set that I think can be kind of tallied to any industry.
Would it, like, if you could go back and say, like, tell your 16-year-old self or, like, high school age self, like, you know, something, or, like, give some sort of wisdom, like, what would that have been like?
I was just on a podcast it was called the Elite Recruiter Podcast, like, 2 weeks ago, and the guy asked me the same thing, and I wouldn't say anything.
Oh, dude, we got competition?
Damn.
Damn, dude, he's on a tour.
I'm on a tour.
We're part of the podcast circuit.
Yeah,
It's an honor.
It's
an honor to have you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I wouldn't say anything. Maybe like go through the storm and it gets better. So like, I mean, there were certain points where I was definitely suicidal, and like maybe like, you know, as weird as it fucking sounds, like make sure you don't kill yourself type deal. But like, I wouldn't warn that person because he wouldn't have listened. He was as arrogant and brash as you could be, and I think there's such beauty now in what has transpired that like I wouldn't want to protect that or change any of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it fucking sucked for a long time. I mean, my parents thought they were going to bury me for years. My sisters hated me, and like I said, like that part I have regret for hurting them, but I would walk through the hell that I walked through again 150 times without thinking twice. I mean, I look at my kids and I'm just like, how would I have wanted to change anything?
Yeah.
Interesting. What like, do you read at all, or do you like you do read?
I like I mean, yes, I'm a big Audible guy. I'm a big like listen and visual type stuff, but yeah,
you listen with your ears.
I listen with my ears.
Yeah. Or you read with your ears.
Do you want to know like books I read, or was there like
No, my thing was like what kind of like ideal, because I know like Narcotics Anonymous or Alcoholics Anonymous is very it's rooted at least in the religious kind of like practice of it in terms of like, you know, giving yourself to a higher power or whatever. But my question was more so tied to like what set of ideals or what influences did you have along the way that you found most impactful? Like, because sometimes for me, I look back and I'm like, wow, I found like, for me, it's like, I guess Andy Frisella or podcasts, or like Joe Rogan would be one where it's like, damn, like, what would my life would be like if I wasn't exposed to this information?
Yeah. Man, it's a really good question. I mean, AA certainly was a foundation for me that I met people and realized like you could have fun being sober, and like that, like the literature and the book and stuff like that was definitely impactful as like a foundation. I recently, Deepak Chopra, the 7 Laws of Spiritual Success was one of my favorite books of all time. From like a sales and like talking perspective and just being confident in a room, from speaking to it at an AA meeting to whatever. I like reading anything Steve Jobs when he talks about how like if you can ever watch the presentation he did about the iPhone and like how captivating that audience is, that was really impressive to me. A lot of manifesting stuff with like Wayne Dyer I've been listening to now, and as kind of crazy as it sounds, not from like a God thing, but like reading like the Bible and like ancient stuff and like Buddhist philosophies. There's a Buddhist philosopher, Thich Nhat Hanh, that wrote, there was a book called Living Buddha, Living Christ, and there were some other ones about just like having a relationship with yourself. And that kind of stuff to me was like, everyone always said to me, like I was always looking for what they call like an outer solution to an inner problem. Like I always had one thing left before I was like, I'm an addict with nothing. Like I had a job, or I had a girlfriend, or I was able to stay at my parents' house or whatever. And it was always, you know, you get that, you know, obviously it wasn't a new car when you're an addict, but like a new pair of shoes or a new shirt or a new hat. And like you feel like you're dressing up the outside because the inside's broken. And so like really having to learn how to have a relationship with yourself before anybody else was, I think, super crucial to me.
Have you read I think it's called The Mastery of Self?
No, I will.
Yeah, my girlfriend and I had a really long, extensive conversation. She reads a lot, and we were talking about the decisions people make, and to only be affected by your own actions, not by someone else's. And then she recommended the book to me because she was like, I think you'd really like it. And you talking about spiritual and, you know, self-confidence and whatnot. Yeah. I think that's probably a book you would like based off of what she's told me about.
Yeah.
So
what's the book called?
I think it's called The Mastery of Self. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think that was like, I think in the beginning when I was getting sober, like I was my way was the only way, from AA versus NA to this is how long you should do the steps to addiction's a disease. And like, I finally like just got to a point where like, I don't care what people think. I don't care what sexuality they are. I don't care what they believe. I don't care if God works. It's like, if you're on a path and it works for you, like, more power to you. So like, I really, I don't, there's this whole fight now with this harm reduction thing. And there's this shit in Philadelphia where there's just like, this nonprofit that's like in Kensington, and like certain people are trying to get them out and certain people aren't. And like, there's just this battle, and it's like, to think anyone knows the right way to do it is it's kind of asinine, you know? And I think there's a lot of ways to do it.
Yeah, we did an episode on that book, San Francisco.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you've read that.
I know that one.
It was like forget who the author was, but he was a liberal author who basically just like blew the lid off of the San Francisco like homeless and drug problem. And a lot of the information that he provided in there was wildly insightful in terms of how flawed the drug and alcohol and rehabilitation system and the homeless system is. The way we're financially influencing those systems is influencing the businesses to maintain addicts and homeless people rather than like patch them up and get them patched up and fixed up and go. Yeah. So like, if you have more people in your place, you get paid more money by the state. So if you naturally reduce the number of addicts, you lose all your money, your revenue. So like, a lot of these care facilities are for profit, or even the nonprofit
even
ones
nonprofits
are
you can
making
look up their
salaries
dude.
Are huge. So like, everybody's influenced to be like, no, that's not going to work. That's not a solution. We just got to keep building apartment buildings and just giving the homeless people housing. But like, they're not like any of the people that are in a position to actually like implement solutions. They just aren't, because it's not in their best interest, even subconsciously, probably.
Yeah, it's anytime that there's some money involved, and the argument is that for the public health system and the Medicaid and stuff, and the private health system is just as flawed. And in the industry that I work in, the fight is like, are you in network with insurance? Are you out of network? And well, this pays more to be this way and that way. And it's like, as long as there's people regulating the money, and that's what it comes down to. Like, I was dealing with a family today. Like, I don't deal with a ton of people who are still in addiction, but it's this person who has a methamphetamine problem and is in like insane psychosis. And when you call an insurance company for meth, you can't die from a meth overdose or from a meth withdrawal. So they fucking tell you to go to outpatient, because they're like, oh, she doesn't meet the qualifications. So like, Xanax and alcohol are the easiest things to get what they call certed for in detox, because you can die from the withdrawal. But all the other stuff, so like, then you have this industry of like people who are like, look, when you get on the phone, like, tell them you're drinking. I know you're just shooting dope, but tell them that, because you're not going to get in otherwise. So it's like, well, that's lying. It's like, well, yeah, but it's also fucked up that like, I pay for my fucking insurance and I need help, and I am having to basically lie about that and whatever. So it's like, but they're the fights that I used to get into. Like, me sitting, 86 West, I'm not going to crack that code. So I just go, you know what, the system is so fucked up, and if I can be a little bumper in the bowling alley to help move it down the road, that's fine. But like, it's just such a flawed system that it's just, it's, as long as money's involved, it's never going to be right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What else you got? You got something going on? Right? You brewing something?
No, dude. I'm hanging out.
Well, you got gas or something? You look like you tried to like simulate like a little like I gotta go or something.
Really? Dude, if I had to, I'd mute my mic.
Oh.
Don't want anyone to hear that.
Okay. Jeez.
What? I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it was a really good episode.
Yeah, man. We were almost an hour 20. I feel like we haven't had an episode that long in a while.
That's because we've been purposefully like shutting it down.
Yeah. No, this shit flew by, man.
We've been giving away too much free content to YouTubers.
Yeah.
I'm coming back.
Yeah, you'd have to.
What was that? G.I. Joe led to my heroin addiction? Yeah. I dropped fucking nuggets, dude.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Dude, one thing I want to ask you with like a really hard transition. My wife told me, she didn't tell me a story, but she told me to ask you about the wrong funeral.
Yeah. It was in Doylestown.
Yeah, you went to the, like, she just said, just ask him about the wrong funeral.
It's a great story. So, probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, a buddy of mine from high school that I have not seen maybe a couple times since high school, so like 15, 20 years. his mom is like one of my biggest fans on Facebook, like followed me all through my low phases and like every year, like, you know, David, we're praying for you. We love you. And her husband passed away, and it was my buddy's father. And so I read about it on Facebook or something like that. And I was like, you know what, like I'm going to rearrange my schedule and like I'm going to go, you know, see my buddy Mike and reconnect with like all my old like homies from like the lacrosse team at Archbishop Wood. And it's going to be awesome. And I'm going to, you know, reconnect, and this is going to be the greatest thing ever. And so I like look up and I'm like, all right, it's like Wednesday at Mount Carmel. I'm going to go. And so I like suit up and I go there and I park and I'm walking in and the line's like out the door. And I'm like, damn, like there was a viewing last night for this guy too. And my buddy Mike's an only child. Like the family's not that big. I'm like, man, this guy like touched a lot of lives. Like fucking guy is, wow, man, he's even greater than I thought. There's like these two old ladies like talking in front of me and, oh man, he was such a sweet man. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, you know, I'm really glad he got to see his granddaughter be born. And she was like, yeah, like all of his grandkids. And I'm like, Mike only has one granddaughter, but you're old as fuck. So like, okay, cool. So I'm like sitting there and kind of just waiting in line. And, you know, we're like inching towards like where the poster boards are. And the line's like taking forever. And there's like one poster board and I'm like looking and I'm like, where's Mike at? And he's in no pictures. And I'm like, maybe he's at the next one. Like maybe this was like cousins or something. Next one, like no Mike. And I like look up and like it's like an 80% like Filipino family. And Mike's like a white Irish Catholic kid and he's an only child. So there's like 30 people in this receiving line. And I'm like, damn, like he had some Filipino cousins. No shit. So I'm like still like looking and like talking to people and all. And I'm like, man, I haven't seen one of my lacrosse buddies. Like I guess they all came last night. And like I looked and there was like a big bouquet of flowers. And it was like, you know, we're so sorry for the loss of like Bob or something like that. And it wasn't the dude's name. And like we're praying for you know, you and or we're praying for like Tina and Bob. And like her mom's name is Charlotte. And I'm like, oh my fucking God, like I'm at the wrong funeral. And I was like halfway up the thing and I just like button hooked and rolled out like I had to take a piss and just like ran out.
Were you like,
and,
hold my spot?
Dude, I was like,
I'll be right back.
it was, so I called my buddy and I said, look, man, like I wanted to come and pay respects to the loss of your dad. Like, I'm really sorry. And so I said I was just there. And he's like, yeah, the funeral was yesterday, bro. And so, like, I missed everybody. And but, like, the fact that it was another funeral at the same time, relatively the same crowd till I saw, like, the whole family that didn't look like them was just, like, the greatest thing ever. But, like, it was like a Larry David episode. I'm like, dude, he's not on this poster board or that one. I'm like, there's no way there's another funeral and I'm wrong, but it was the wrong funeral.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. That was awesome. Yeah. So I went to Restore right after and was like cracking up laughing. I told your wife, I'm like, dude, you just won't even believe this. I just spent 45 minutes at the wrong funeral.
That was great.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. Plenty more where that came from, so I'll have to come back.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Definitely gonna have you come back. And then we'll hit you up for sponsors for our happy hour.
Yeah, I'll get sponsors.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Hell yeah, dude.
That's awesome. Dude, is your son still here?
Yeah, he's watching his he was really good,
Dude,
man.
he's
Yeah,
he's
good.
hooked.
Yeah,
man.
you filled him full of tuna.
He's what's that?
Sushi
What's he on
good too.
Wicked Pasta or what's that? Cranky?
Creepy pasta.
Yeah, he's on that right
Yeah,
now.
no,
probably.
I hope he's not watching
He
that.
better not be.
That's some creepy stuff for
Yeah.
kids, man.
Yeah, I feel like this was a killer episode. I
Yeah,
really.
man.
This is fun as hell, dude. Thank you.
We trusted Ariel and she didn't lead us astray.
Yeah, she delivered.
Yeah,
She always does.
I think she always does.
Yeah.
Usually,
Yeah.
she knows it would be too costly if she referred someone that was just lame.
I didn't know what to expect, but I was happy. She's like, I think you'd be interesting on the podcast. Just tell the funeral story. I said, all right, fuck it. Just roll with it.
Yeah, this is good. This episode is definitely going to be called G.I. Joe Calls My Addiction.
Yeah.
Next time we can talk about when I was in Kensington trying to buy dope and a cop got me and he was chasing the drug dealer down the street, so he handcuffed me to a railing so I would like stay still, and then like some dude from like the hood came and stole my shoes, and so I was just sitting on a bench outside in the bando, handcuffed with no shoes.
That's bullshit, dude.
Yeah.
Wait,
No drugs and no shoes.
So like you were trying to go to buy, the cop rolls up.
He rolled up as we were doing it
to try and pinch the dealer. The
Yeah.
dealer runs.
So he's like, "You stay here," and he handcuffs me to this railing, and I'm sitting there, and then like there's just like this like sissy ass white kid sitting there, and some kid was like, "Give me your fucking shoes." And I was like, "God damn it!" So I lost my shoes, and yeah, my girlfriend at the time was sitting in the like 1980 Honda Civic that her dad owned, and was like waiting for me for like 20 minutes. I came back with no drugs and no shoes.
the cop came back and he was like, "Sorry, buddy."
Yeah. He was like, where? And what the issue was I threw the bags like under this car because I knew if I didn't have anything on me, it was literally like 2:00 in the morning. He wasn't gonna find it, so he came back, uncuffed me, found nothing. Was like, "Fuck you! I know you had it." Blah blah blah. And I was like, "Yeah, well, you didn't find it," so he let me go. He drove away, and went back to the car.
Did you go back and get the product?
I got the product.
Yeah,
I didn't got
yeah.
the shoes.
Ah, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have been like, "I'm gonna sue your fucking ass. What's your badge
Yeah.
number?
Yeah,
What's your
right.
badge
You owe
number?
me some Jordans."
Stolen valor. Yeah.
Oh,
They weren't Jordan back then.
They
It
were
was some
13s.
Kmart. Yeah. LA Gears, maybe. It was like probably
Dang.
something I stole from Kmart.
He got robbed for some LA gears.
Yeah, dude.
That sucks.
Yeah, the thought of like some hood ass kid just like rolling around with some LED light up shoes, just being like, "Yo, these are the drop."
I run fast.
Yeah.
Starts running fast as shit.
Yeah, dude, I've been like following this one dude on Instagram. And this is how it ends up at 2 hours and 20 minutes, dude. But basically, this guy was like, he was a substitute teacher in a bunch of different schools. So he invents slang words and then goes in and be like, "Yo, the kids in the high school, they be using this, dude. This is real words."
And he
he'd be
just
like, "No,
starts
it's
it?
not." And he starts slang words. Like the ones on the last video were like, one of them was pebbles. Like, this shit's pebbles. Like, it's nothing. Like, it's pebbles. And they're like, "You ain't, dude. That's not a real thing." And be like, "Yeah, the ninth graders, dude."
Dude,
Get
that's
in there.
awesome.
Yeah, the kids. I'll pull up the other ones if you hang in there a second.
Dude, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So like I was watching this. I'm gonna stay up on the slang and start just like throwing it into the podcast when I can.
Dude,
I'm
this
gonna go home
dude,
and say it to my kids.
it's Pebbles, dude.
Yeah.
This guy's tricking kids, man.
I'll find it. Gilmore's gonna hold the airtime.
He's talking about, it's kind of when they say that Christopher Columbus scared all the Native Americans into doing stuff. He's scaring these kids into saying new slang words,
Yeah.
dude. It's like, yeah, the ninth graders are saying it. It's like, what? We gotta start saying it too, then.
Yeah. So the other words are parked. Like, so if like your day's like moving real slow, this shit's parked. And then there was pebbles, and then like so like if you had like a day, it's like a mountain, obviously. But then the other one's turked or
Turked?
Turk, but I
feel
don't
that.
remember what he's like explaining it right now.
I mess with Turk.
But they're like
Turk is crazy.
the kids are just like, it's it was a Tarzan movie. There was a character in Tarzan called Turk.
Oh, yeah, there was.
It's dumb. You'd be like, "You Turk."
There was a
Oh
character
my
named Turk.
God.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
I was like in the office when Andy's trying to get close with Michael, and he's like, "Oh man, I shrewded it." And he's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, when we screw something up around here, we say Shroot because that's Dwight's last name." He's like, "I shrewded it." He's like, "Oh my
Yeah,
god."
dude, this episode was pebbles, dude.
Yeah, dude.
It's easy.
I stay parked, yo.
Yeah.
I stay parked.
Yo, I stay parked.
Dude, I'm turked.
Yo, that's a new episode title. G.I. Joe Stay Parked.
G.I. Joe stay parked.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
Dude, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, man, this
It
was
was a real-
really cool.
Yeah,
It was a
dude.
really good time.
This blew me away. It was awesome.
Dude, where can the people find you?
Yeah, like how do we even
Yeah.
find you?
Yeah, how do we?
Mugshots.com. I definitely have a picture up there.
Is that a website?
Yeah, and I'm on it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, that's or yeah.
Thumbnail.
Yes, I
Thumbnail.
can't use that for the thumbnail. I can't use that for the thumbnail unless it's like a really good shot.
Yeah.
No, I'll send it to you. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
You can do like a before and after. I have like one with like a bandana and no shirt on when I'm at like Warped Tour holding a beer and I'm like trying to be thugged out. That's like some good ones.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn, my name's Dave Bontempo. Azuri Talent Partners is my website. We have, I think there's a Facebook page too, but I would say the email is on the website, so azuritalentpartners.com. And I always say, like, anytime I'm talking, happy to talk about work, but like if someone listening to this needs some advice, guidance, help with either sobriety, navigating, or thinking, like, I'm always available. My number's on there too. So Azuri Talent Partners, check out there, and anything will be confidential. I'd be happy to talk to anybody.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's awesome.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
Yeah. So this is No Prisoners Podcast. We're Bucks County's #1 investigative journalists. We have a new friend of the show here. This was hilarious. Can't wait to do it again. Check us out at the end of the month, March 27th, 4 p.m. happy hour upstairs at 86 West. We'll get everybody out again. Sponsored by Tile Studio. That information's on our website. All of the links and all the companies and stuff we talked about tonight will be in there. I'm not going through and labeling the books and stuff.
Too
You guys
many.
are ridiculous. This is a 10th Ferris show.
Yeah.
And then, this is a good show.
Stay parked.
Yeah, stay parked.
Stay parked.
Stay parked.